Brainerd. Let's jump right into talking about Brainerd. This race, we were worried about this race going into the weekend, weren't we? Things
I
we had
was.
heard, we had seen the car counts. They really, it's almost an odd event when we don't have pro stock or pro stock motorcycle. You just have the nitro classes and pro mod. I kind of felt like the little ride back up the track for Steve Torrance and for Matt Hagan was kind of lonely. It's just those two guys in there, right? They're missing a few other winners. We talk all the time that drag racing has too many winners, but when you see just those two, it's kind of jarring because it's not what we're used to seeing. But Hagan wins again. Torrance now has won at every track on tour, which is just incredible. Pro mod kind of collapsing in a way.
I think that's fair.
And a little concern there, but the fans turn out in droves. So this race, tell me if I'm wrong here, but do you think that this furthers the notion that it's about more than the on-track product? We were looking at entry lists, we were looking at how many cars were going to be there, but people are there because it's the only chance for people in that region to go to a national event. It draws from the Canadian border, COVID notwithstanding, and of course you have the zoo. So there's a lot going on there. It's a beautiful area. I've never been there. I know you've had some experiences there. I hear it's an amazing track, an amazing area. So was this more proof based on what we saw from the stands that it's about more than just what's on track?
I think this is one of those races, Mike, it's like an experiential type of thing. I have been to Brainerd to the zoo a handful of times, and for an NHRA national event. And I mean, first and foremost, the fan base there is unlike anything I've ever seen before. I mean, they are rabid, they're knowledgeable. They don't get to see this level of drag racing very often. They don't get a bunch of, there's not a bunch of match races or other events. Like, the NHRA rolls into, let's say, Charlotte area or to Virginia Motorsports Parks, and pro mods race there all the time, and high level racing happens there all the time. Not the case at our friendly Brainerd International Raceway up there in Minnesota. This is a real, kind of treat for these guys. But to your point, Mike, it's as much a party, I think, as anything else. It's like a 40-acre campground, and I'm just kind of pulling that number out of thin air, but I think I've heard that somewhere along the lines, and it is packed full of people that have been coming to this race year after year after year after year, and it's an incredible thing to see. And to be honest, I was a little heartbroken this weekend when I looked at, I don't want to pour salt on an open wound necessarily, but it felt like a real low point. That's how I felt. I found myself I typically watch you've heard me right here on this show many times. I watch an NHRA broadcast from Norwalk earlier this year, and I came on this show going, I'm walking around, my chest stuck out. Like, I am so proud of our sport. I am so proud of the show we put on. I am so proud of the entertainment value, the on-track product, but everything else, right? And this weekend, unfortunately, and I think we owe it to our viewers, to be honest, I was a little bit disappointed in us. I felt bad. I felt like we let them down. I felt like we dropped the ball. I look at that entry list, and I know hotels are high, airfare's high, travel is expensive right now, more so than ever before. Travel's difficult now, more so than ever before. But I got to tell you, looking at an entry list that had, I'm not here to have an argument, 9, 10, 11 cars in Top Fuel, a dozen funny cars, 7 pro mod cars. Thank God for the Mountain Motor Pro Stock guys that came out 7 strong and really added to the show. But that whole situation was it's crazy because it's bittersweet is what it is. You see Clay Milliken and Steve Torrance go toe-to-toe in an epic final round. I don't know that we'll see a better final round in 2021. Like, I don't know that you're going to get a better drag race than we got there. The show afterwards, fist bumping, hugging one another. The whole thing was just, you could feel the emotion. You could feel that these are two guys that are not hateful rivals, but they're friendly competitors. They have a relationship away from the track. I know that the Torrance camp, the Capco boys, have been trying to lend a little bit of a hand to some of the other teams in the field to elevate the competition level across the entire eliminator. It was a fantastic moment in that regard, but bittersweet that there wasn't, it just felt like we fell short. It really did. It felt like we fell short. And I got to ask, the question, I kind of want to throw this to you, Mike, with another question. Does NHRA take any responsibility for a situation like this? Because I know in the past, my experience as a race promoter, Mike, it's burning up phone lines. It's making promises. It's finding out what I got to do to make sure XYZ guy's coming. I'm on the phone, whether it was the World Series of Pro Mod in Denver, 17, 18, and 19, whether it was the World Door Slammer Nationals in 20 and 21, whether it was the Eddyville Pro Outlaw Heads Up Drag Racing Series that I put together in 2005. I spent my days and weeks leading up to these events on the phone going, hey, man, what do I got to do to get you to come? Do I got to change a rule? Do I got to buy you a hotel room? What do I got to do to get you here? And I know maybe people don't want to hear those things because they think everybody's just going to roll out for the competition, the environment, or whatever, the opportunity to go race against the best. But man, you gotta make these guys and gals feel desired. You've got to reach out. And I just wonder, is that happening? Because if it were, I don't think that we would have these situations.
Yeah, and we kind of talk about this every week. That's what these other series are doing. That's different. And I think NHRA, they may be doing some of that, but if we just don't hear about it a lot, and they've never had to. It's like they're out of practice on that. I think it goes back to, and maybe this is something we can talk to John about when we have him on, sort of the evolution of the sport to this eliminator style that NHRA has, that it's like, we're the only game in town, come run our deal, or you're not on the big stage. These other stages are really creeping up, especially when it comes to pro mod and door car racing. And I think that the schedule plays into it as well.